wanna be my friend? You had better go and get a pen.
And maybe we could keep in touch.
Maybe we can keep in touch.
You got this, Chris.
Like we did in the old days. It wasn't so long ago. Just Chris.
And I wish you well.
Oh, sign your pen, pals.
Oh, he nailed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dude, that was good.
Hey, you know, I do what I
way
can.
better than Will Ferrell.
Thank you.
That's
Way
exactly
better.
what I would
I've
have
been
done.
told that.
I would have just gone, ah! Oh, God. Words, singing. Singing's already hard enough, and then people go, you know the words, right?
Right before we started? Yeah, sure.
Can I tell you, I went to, do you remember, you know the band Vertical Horizon?
You only get what you give. Don't let go.
No.
That's the band, right?
Who was that?
That's
not Vertical
You
Horizon.
only get what you give.
No, Vertical Horizon was,
Look, he knows
yeah,
this.
I know that one.
Who is
I
that?
thought that was the same. Who's
Fine
that?
Young Radicals?
Fine Young Cannibals?
Oh,
no,
New
Young
Radicals.
New Radicals.
New Radicals.
That's it.
Side note, that's who played Biden's,
Side note, that's who played Trump's inauguration.
Yeah.
no, that
Yes.
Three Doors Down.
I
New
think-
Radicals played Biden's.
Are you sure? Because
1
know,
million
'cause
percent. 1 million percent. Because here's why I know it. Because I remember when it was Three Doors Down, everybody was like, Trump, all they could get was Three Doors Down.
Oh, that's
and then when
right.
I saw that it was New Radicals for Biden, I was like, oh, no one knows how to book a fucking
yeah, they don't have
thing.
a booker. He's in their DMs.
Trump's inauguration have like a Bon Jovi cover band too?
More than likely. That sounds.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to put that out there as a fact, but I would easily believe that.
we gotta-
I do know it was Three Doors Down though, and also I think there's a clip of Three Doors Down playing Smash Mouth, and it cuts to Trump, and he's singing along to it, and I'm just like. Could you imagine? Like now, you're like, yes, I know the
Three
song
Doors
Smash
Down
Mouth.
has
You're
become-
so out of it, you don't
Yeah.
know that no one's like
What's
singing
the
Smash
Three Doors
Mouth.
Down song?
And they have a song like about Superman.
Yes, if I go crazy, then will you,
You still call me Superman.
Oh, that's so
If I go-
bad.
Why do we always do that? When we don't know the words, we don't even say words. We always go,
My kryptonite.
Yeah, kryptonite.
Yeah.
Vertical Horizon. I went to see. There was a concert in Columbia, South Carolina. I went down to my sister's college. We went to it, and it was different bands all day long. And Vertical Horizon had just put out "He's Everything You Want." Which
is
you know that
Christian,
song,
right?
I think it is. Definitely has a Christian slant to it.
Right.
But they went up. That was like that single was out, and it was huge, and that was like their thing.
Yeah.
That he went out there, and every song he'd be like, "Come on, sing it!" And I was like, no one knows any of the other songs. Also, you're just getting going. Why would we know? He was like, it's almost like he thought they'd been around for 10 years.
Right.
Like, come on, everybody!
But that's
and like
No,
it
but-
was quiet. And I was
Oh.
like, we would. We don't know.
But that's the energy, though. I mean,
Yeah,
that's you gotta
yeah,
bring it
yeah.
like that.
But also, you got to read the room and go, I bet maybe no one really knows the album yet, just because one song is
Do you
taking
ever
off.
think when we're on stage, I was doing this when I was doing shows in Houston. There was a show that had a woman to my right who was just like right, and so
Wait, while you were doing stand-up?
yes, and so
Not
not
rocking
rocking, but
out.
I'm just saying, I was showing how much into that, right? How
Oh,
much
yeah,
into
yeah.
so much of the set was just to her, right?
Yeah.
Because there's warm water. Over
She was
there.
just taking it.
Do you think when you're a musician and when we have Maynard on before we get at him of Tool, do you think as a musician sometimes you're just playing to the guy dancing by himself who seems to have no friends? You know that guy at the concert who's kind of like found his own space. Do you play to that guy? You're over like, oh, that guy's my jam.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
maybe. Well, because in
You
stand-up
probably
we
feed
do
off
that.
of it,
Because
right?
that's our version, right? What'd you say?
You feed off of it.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
you think?
I'm playing for this guy.
Because
Yeah.
there's sometimes I'm judging how this whole set's going on her.
I think
Because
that's...
she's in. How some of these people, other people are asleep. I'm not talking to them.
I think so, because that's when people are like, you have your arms crossed. It isn't like, I sit with my arms crossed, and I'm not feeling like
Sure, right.
closed off, and I'm not feeling
right,
negative.
right.
But it is like, hey, if you could just not do that, because for me, it's making me think a negative thing.
Right.
Even though you maybe don't mean
You
it.
don't mean
It's
it.
just sort of a negative communication. So if you just kind of sit there and, Maybe even fucking just smile. You don't have to do any of that, but just know, like, that kind of movement and laughing, really letting her laugh out, it makes the show better because the comic is like, all right, now we're playing.
Right.
Now it's happening. I think it's got to be the same for music.
I went to go see someone for my 18th birthday took me to go see Slash's Snake Pit. Slash's like spin-off band that he had.
Where is this having? Columbia, South Carolina?
At the Roxy here in Los Angeles.
Wait, why would everything be in Columbia, South Carolina?
I just go off the last place I heard. I just go off the last place I heard. Also, Rory, would you have lost it if he was like, actually, yes, it was?
I would have truly lost it. And he's like, it was that same festival, dude. Same one you were at.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But the Roxy, how perfect. You're seeing Slash at the Roxy.
But no one was really feeling it because no one really knew the songs. And one person was feeling it and going nuts in the middle of like the floor or whatever. And it was David Lee Roth wearing like white cutoff shorts. And that's it. He was wearing no shirt, no shoes, like no service.
You
basically,
got two
but
shows for the price of one.
it was amazing. And then people figured out it was David Lee Roth, and they started like pushing him, but then lifted him up like fucking Lion King style, and it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
David Lee Roth lifted up Lion King.
like this was probably
so he
1997.
went to Slash's show.
He went to
as a
Slash's
fan.
as a fan.
And then just got way into it.
Got way in. Yeah.
And everyone's
like, what is this?
He's yelling out his play Gigolo!
Bring me up!
Play Gigolo!
Bring me up!
Play Gigolo!
He's like, look.
He keeps doing this. But no one.
He Marty McFly's it. All right, Slash, follow me for the highs and lows and watch the key changes. He's trying to get two. He's trying to get two people. He's trying to get you and someone else to fall in love at the concert.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I just love this.
No? Yeah? No? Yeah?
Just that over and over again while someone's not responding is so great.
Also, like, what if him and Slash have history? And Slash is always like, we're not doing this today, David.
You were here last
Not
night,
again.
bro. It didn't go well.
We're not doing this again.
I don't know your songs, dude.
Oh, no.
I don't know your songs.
Oh. I'll do Jump. I talked to Eddie. It's okay.
I talked. Sammy's cool with it. Everyone's chill with it.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you had a better birthday than that? That's a
no, that's pretty
wild.
good. That was a pretty good birthday.
That's a lifetime birthday.
Yeah. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know we were going there, and it was pretty fun.
God, that's wonderful. Do you just want to go? I mean, where can we go from that? Do you want to go?
Let's just go.
Okay.
Let's go to the letters. You know what I'm gonna do? I'll do that top one, and I'll hit it off.
Okay.
I'll hit
Go
it
for
out.
it.
I'll hit it out of the park.
I never doubted you. Never doubted you, dude.
All right, here we go. And I'll do this one because I really like how it
Can I ask
starts.
a side question you just made me think of?
Yeah.
In the movie The Natural, does he hit the lights?
Yeah.
He does hit the lights,
Yeah.
right?
I know that because when I was a little fat kid, I used to watch it the morning before big baseball games, and I would pretend that the coffee table was the bases, and I would reenact the entire swing, and then I'd run at the same time as Roy Hobbs.
I love
Christ.
I still do it to get pumped up. Like in my head, I could run like that, or I listen to the theme song from Karate Kid or whatever. Like
Yes.
that.
Does
I've
Val walk
had
in
that
on
lever-
that? She's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, she's like, again, really, again.
Every day. Every day. Just drink coffee. Just drink coffee.
Sincerity here, which we have a lot of on Pen Pals. A lot of sincerity. Sincerity. I love that so much. When I saw the first cut of his documentary, and Rory and I have run into so many things where we did not know, like, we are tracking our lives like before each other. Like, we found out that we both have Aunt Connies, and both of our Aunt Connies made us elf costumes the same Halloween, and we're born 24 hours apart.
Whoa.
I know. So we've had like these weird things. I'm watching, and I love like self pump up stuff. Do you guys remember like 15 years ago when that leaked audio came out of Neil Patrick Harris pumping himself up in the bathroom? He didn't know his mic was still hot, and he was like, "You fucking got this. You're gonna fucking do this." He was like giving a speech or some sort of like convention or something. But Rory in his doc, what do you say? Be fun.
Be fun.
Yeah, before he
just
walks on
be
stage,
fun.
like be fun. And I will sometimes go, "You're a good time. This is a good time. Let's have a good time." And then that's what I'll try to like hit the stage with. And Patton.
He also
Oswalt,
does that before he slams beers. So it's not like just for stand up.
and make-out sessions. Not sex. Making out.
And to be fair, not to just put that on Daniel, but to be fair, often at family gatherings, I'll be in the bathroom. I'll go, just be fun. Just be fun. Be fun. And then I go out and I'm like, who wants to play Yahtzee? And no
Rory,
one does.
No. You walk out and you walk out and they're already playing. He is everything you want.
And I'm like, why didn't you guys wait? I'm going to be fun. Let me be fun.
Patton has said, Patton Oswalt said he, not a big sports guy, but he will watch YouTube clips of Gale Sayers running in old Chicago Bears football games. He's like, the artistry and the confidence of running puts me in a headspace for even writing. He'll do that. Yeah. So your natural thing, straight to my heart,
the
dude.
other thing I do before a big set is I listen to Neil Young's Tonight's the Night, which is like one of the saddest albums of all time.
But it puts you in the place?
It puts me right in the place. Like,
Fucking
there's
A,
something
dude.
so sincere and vulnerable about it that I listen to the whole thing and I just like, I crouch around like Neil. Like, all by myself, like
I love it.
and I'll just like get really into it.
He used to do that before baseball games also. And that kind of dictated how he played
Yeah.
that day.
Let's go, wrap it up. No, we're not doing Heart of Gold. Come on, wrap it up.
Wrap it up. We got to get to the field, bud.
All right, you want
All right.
to read it?
Dear Rory and Daniel.
Well, that's wrong.
Nope.
It is
I've
wrong.
recently been reflecting on my lack of skill in the art of flirting. I've been on the dating market for over 3 years, and for the majority of the time have been on and offline dating to no avail. I made the decision to stop online dating for all of 2022, 1 month and 1 week into the year, and staying strong because I just wasn't finding any joy in the process. Instead, I decided to just get out there in the world, do things I enjoy, and find new hobbies and see what people these activities bring into my life. One of these activities is a local run club, which I attended for the second time last night and started chatting it up with a nice gentleman. I engaged in what I thought was some witty banter and thought we may have been having a wee bit of a connection, but after a cursory Facebook search, my running friend turns out to be married. Now, when I say wee bit of a connection, looking back on it, we were just both being nice and talking, not truly sending out any vibes on either side. In analyzing this interaction, I think my form of flirting is trying to make people laugh, but is that really flirting? I tend to be kind of dry in my humor, so who knows how that's even landing. I feel like what I think are my flirting vibes are just, hey, let's be friend vibes. All of my serious relationships started within my 20s, and all were initiated following alcohol-influenced one-night stands. One-night stands that stuck. Now in my mid-30s, I'm not much of a drinker, and I'm not finding myself in the same social situations I experienced back in the day. Without involving alcohol courage, how does one send out the vibe in these more mundane days of life? Thank you both for the joy and perspective you bring every week, every day for those of us on our way to be pallers. I wish you both well, Emily.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
I have a quick question, too.
You go first.
Are you a flirt?
Yeah, I flirt. I like flirting.
But even
It's
in
fun.
just you're just kind of a flirt.
I'm a flirt person.
Chris?
Yeah.
Me too.
Really?
I wonder if that's a common.
But here's the
comic
thing.
Although there's such range of.
But here's
Maybe
my
it's just an us thing.
here's my question, and it actually is interesting that was your question. My
you
question is,
asked me if I'm a flirt.
are you a flirt? Because here's what I want to know: are you a flirt? And are you a flirt? Because my question is, being like, I try to be funny and get my jokes to land, but maybe that's not flirting. This is where I'm curious, knowing that the three of us do stand-up and comedy is such a big part of our personalities. Like, I do think that is a form of flirting,
Sure.
which makes me go, when you say, Rory, are you a flirt? And I say, yes, I am. I like flirting. My question is, or do I think that's what I'm doing because I like making someone laugh? And I go, you're laughing, I'm making jokes. We're flirting. But I'm not. I'm just making someone laugh and we're talking.
I would ask you, have you been often told in your life you're a flirt?
I don't think so.
I have. Have
I don't
you?
think I've been told that.
I don't know.
But I don't think
so.
But sometimes I don't even think I'm flirting, and I'm told, well, you're a flirt. And I was like, I'm not. Is that flirting? But then I wonder, am I flirting because also per my profession, I'm just trying to get everybody to like me?
Yeah.
That too.
Right.
So I think there's an element of that too, where I'm like wanting to. It does feel good when you know someone likes you. It feels really good when you know someone likes you in that sort of romantic way, crush kind of way.
Yeah.
Ever since you were a kid, the first time in your life someone said, "Hey, so and so has a crush on you," you were like, like it felt, boom, I did it! I'm the greatest! I'm the best!
And you're like, I told myself to be fun.
I told myself to be fun. I said it right before I walked out of the bathroom. But I think that first time someone says that, it feels so good that you kind of get latched onto the idea of like, yeah, well, that means they like you. And then if someone's like, I like you, or you feel like someone like you, or someone laughing at you, I think, at least for me, I actually, maybe I'm not flirting, and I'm only now thinking about it because of this letter. Maybe I'm not flirting. Maybe I really just enjoy these connections because I am not the person who's ever like made in advance or like tried to take it further, like in a flirtatious way, where I've never had someone say, "Oh, I'm sorry, maybe I misread that." No one has said that to me. And I feel like if I was flirty, that maybe that would be a thing. Or someone would have to say, "Hey, just so you know, we're just having fun and chatting." Because no one's ever said that to me and I've never said that to anyone else, it makes me wonder, like, do I just think I'm a flirt? Maybe I'm just not a good flirt. Or maybe I just like connections, and as soon as they're like laughing and chatting, I'm like, yeah, we're having fun. And then to almost hit on you would almost ruin it. You know what I mean? Even when I was single, I think I used to, like, I think I would be funny. People would laugh. Someone would like me. And then I'd almost be like, and then if I say, well, do you want to get a drink sometime? I'd almost be like, does the whole castle crumble if they're like, oh, no, I'm not feeling that.
Well, yeah.
And so I think a lot of times I didn't take that. Like chance.
To that next thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, would you guys ascribe to the idea or subscribe to the idea that flirting is in the eye of the receiver? That the kind of the person you're talking to is determining whether or not they feel like you're flirting with them to a certain level. That what you might just be is innocuous conversation. They might go, well, I felt like you were flirting with me.
Yeah.
But is your intention as the flirter to flirt?
That's the thing. I've had people go like, "Well, you were I felt like you were flirting with me." And I was like, "I was just being nice."
Oh yeah.
But then
which is kind of what she's talking about here.
But maybe I am flirting. But then I would go, "Well, you kind of decide whether or not you felt like I was flirting with you to a certain extent." Because is there a difference between flirting? Is there? I should ask. Is there a difference between flirting and hitting on somebody or coming on to a person?
Yeah,
I think so
too.
I think
then there's a big intention of you want something else.
Yeah.
You know?
I think hitting on is going, let's get past phase 1.
Yeah.
And let's just go straight to phase 2, where I'm like, me, you, dinner.
So,
you know what I mean? I don't know what phase. This is why I've never gotten to phase 2.
Said the guy who's been with a woman for 17 years.
Yeah, that's it. You find one person, you go, all right, well, it's us now. Because I don't know how to get to phase 2.
But like, because I think, so to directly like come to this letter of like, how do you flirt? Or like, what is flirting? I would say, can I make physical contact with you, Chris?
Sure.
Okay. So if we are
and
like,
you punch him. Well, Chris did say it was okay. I watched. We have it on video.
we're like at a bar or whatever, right? And then it's very much this, right? Yeah. And then as like the date goes on, it's some of like this, right? Yeah. And I'm touching your leg, and you know. That's when I think flirting starts. I also think flirting is like
contact.
Flirting is also like a lot of like this, right? Hitting would be like, what are you doing after this? Like, do you want to go somewhere else? Like, do you want to get out of here? Do you want to like? Are you single? Like, I'm hitting.
You're just going straight in there. You're like, are you
I'm also
single?
So F2F face to face. I'm so F2F.
I'm so not in these situations.
Yeah, you're just trying to get to that RRGT. Rip
this is me.
Rip roaring good time. That's his.
This is me. I'm just across the bar and I'm doing this.
What?
And I'm hoping that's enough. Like, like eye contact happens and I go,
roar.
That's me. That has been me.
I don't think you're joking.
I'm not joking. That's me. Someone goes, Rory, what's your level of spitting game? Well, I look down, look up, make eye contact, nod, look back down again. And I go, well, if we're in, something will transpire from this moment.
Can I?
Got her.
And I think we might have hooked one. Let's see what happens.
How do you know when you're flirting?
Well, generally a playful person who's
Yes.
like engaged and listening,
Yeah.
and there's banter.
Right.
But I feel like there's a little extra, maybe a little extra. I wouldn't say a little extra ribbing. I feel like I
Really?
feel like I have a little bit of a junior high, a little bit of a bully, but playful
Are you
bully. Not,
okay? You're not full on negging.
No, not
You're
full
going to
on
like
negging, but just
0.5
like
roasting.
0.5 roast.
It's 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. You're going 0.5, and you're like,
a little
huh?
bit of a roast.
I'm not
but a
jabbing
gentle-
everybody.
So, you,
gentle
like
roast.
in your run group, you might be like, "Are those dress shoes? Are you running in dress shoes?" Like
Yeah,
a little bit, like,
yeah. That's
like no, they're not dress shoes. Like, I don't know, they
Well,
look
they kind of look like
fancy.
dress shoes to me.
Yeah,
That's
yes.
Like that. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
like that. But it's playful. But it's not like, oh look,
Right.
What's up with your face? Like it's not
Oh my
like
God,
that.
are you flirting with me, Chris?
What's up with
I
your
start thinking
face?
You're
Yeah,
flirting
yeah.
with me right now. I'm like, oh, you're crazy, Chris.
This is my style of doing it. Like, are those dress shoes? Are you gonna run in those? God, look at this eye contact, right?
No, don't say that.
Don't we have a lot of eye contact? That's one of the things, right? It's openly saying it. Are we engaging?
Two.
All right, we're not helping Emily.
No,
here
I
at all.
disagree.
Oh, no, you're
I
right.
disagree.
okay.
I think that some of it is some sort of light physical touch, because you'll find out right away. Like, you put your hand on my forearm right now, right? And I'll be like, yeah.
yeah. Then you know.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
if
a
I'm
clear-
still like friendly, whatever, you're like, okay, that was like a whatever.
Yeah.
If it's like a forearm touch and the person like just doesn't move and keep talking to you, like that's a sign. I would also say, and this might sound wild, especially in texts, do not ever use the word ya. Use the word you. To me, it is a specific way of not being casual about ways in which you want to address. For example, right? If you say, what are you up to Tuesday? Would love to see you. Versus, what are you up to Tuesday? Would love to see you. Does that, am I crazy? Or does that
What's
not
the
feel
and what's the
YA and Y
Yeah.
and YOU? Like the
What's
ya
the-
is just very casual. Would
Yeah,
love
yeah.
to see you. Whereas like, what are you doing Tuesday? I would love to see you. It just, it's
Yeah.
a specific
You're right.
way of speaking.
You know what
It's
it
like-
is? It's that last little bit of salt on the dish.
Right. little
Little
bit
bam,
of this.
little Emerald
Little bit
Lagasse
of
right
this.
there.
Yes.
I don't
Bam.
know
I'm a little
why,
scared.
and it could just be a me thing, but like speaking with personal intent
Yeah.
to the person, and like you were even saying, eye contact. If you're like, if you're in your run club and you're like, so what do you do for work, right? And your response is like, I just like if they're just kind of talking to you while you're next to each other, you're not getting signs. Like flirting
Yeah.
is about eye contact, casual, light physical touch. This person seeming as interested in the conversation and about you as you are about them. And then I would say also like tell me about you. Like, what do you, like, that's different than like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I just think like be deliberate in your, and at every step, it has to feel like the road is not closed.
Yeah.
And that's how you know. Anytime you hit like I'm a lawyer. This is a good run club.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, you've changed the subject and you're not asking me about me. Does that mean, am I wild?
Yeah.
I feel like
You are
kind of
wild.
have to
You
be
are
in the
wild.
space
That's the
and
wrong
you have to be
question.
present. Like if you're like that's I don't think I'm a big toucher. Maybe I'll go like this. Bring your shoulder over. I'll go like this. Maybe I'll just
Sure.
a little lean into the shoulder, maybe. But I'm not a big toucher. But I think if you just stay present in the moment and listen,
Yeah.
and engage back and forth, I think that's as good as flirting. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
Emily.
Yes.
I think Emily's on the right track in going to these.
I love that.
I
I
love
think
that.
that's the
She's
right
putting
call
herself
for
out there.
sure.
Put-
Go to the
yeah.
in
things
these
you like.
situations that people
Yes.
might have the same interest,
Yes.
and then seeing what happens and engaging with people there. I think once you really think I have to go out there and flirt, you're kind of dead in the water.
I
If
think
it's
that
if it's
too.
not your natural thing.
Yes.
But if you're like, oh, I love running, I love being here. There's a person, let's talk.
Yeah.
I think that's a way better way. If you're not a natural flirter, to just go like, oh, you're gonna bumble through it and it's gonna be awkward. Maybe someone might find it endearing, but I don't know. But like, I think just putting yourself out there in these situations and engaging in conversations. This guy was taken or whatever,
Right,
but
right.
doesn't mean
Doesn't mean there's not a chance.
Go for
that's
it.
exactly
Lean
what I'm
in.
saying.
You know
Lean
he's not
in.
afraid of commitment.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
obviously willing
With
to go the
multiple
distance.
people. I think also to gauge also like, are we flirting? Is this working? It is again from how I operate. everything should feel like a wide open door, right? So if they're like, if they invite you to like, hey, we're all going to a bar, or hey, we're going to a party, and you go to that bar, and you go to that party, and that person is like, so glad you're here, and that's kind of the extent of it, then don't assume that that there's anything going on there. If you go there and this person is so glad you're there, or is double checking that you're going to be there, or if you don't go and they're like, where were you? I was hoping you were there. There's intent here.
Yeah.
If you say that person like, hey, for Run Club, I'm just keep going back to her letter, do you kind of want to keep pace together? And they don't say to you, who else would I want to keep pace with? Or, of course I do. If they give you anything of like, I don't know, I'm kind of changing. It's out. It
Get
needs
out
to
of
always
there.
feel like a full open
Read
door.
the vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I once, years and years ago, made the mistake this is somebody who was like, well, you're flirting. I thought I was being nice. I now look back and go, yeah, that's a flirt. I was asking this person to, like, as a friend, to be like, hey, let's go to the movies together, right? Let's go see this movie. And they were like, joking, they were like, how far did you get down the list before you asked me? And then I wrote back, you are the list. And I thought, like, well, I'm fucking saying you're the thing. But if you're a person who felt some attractiveness or whatever, that sort of response is like, oh, I'm your person. There's nobody other than me. But I felt like I was saying, fuck you, you're down on the list. You're the whole list. But I can also see how that sort of thing, if you're attracted to a person, is like,
So did they go to the movie being like, we're going to hook up. This is it. This is happening.
I don't know. But I do know that it eventually was like, it had to be very clear, like, no, I'm not. And they were like, but look at the fucking shit you say. And then I was like,
well, did you guys share refreshments at the theater?
yes.
Were they Reese's Pieces?
I'm not even with you.
All right.
What do you say? How do you pronounce that candy?
Reese's Pieces? No, Reese's Pieces?
Fuck.
It took a second. I said it wrong. This guy.
We're here now, Chris.
This guy.
I hope you're out of frame now. I hope the frame is screwed up.
How do you feel, Roar?
I call them Rice's Pisces. So maybe I'm more fun than both of you.
Rice's Pisces is
Rice's
a very
Pisces.
cool astrological Asian restaurant.
It's a candy. It's a candy.
It's Reese's Pieces, and everybody knows it.
All right. Well, how did that date go? Did it end with you going?
It wasn't
not...
a date.
But
That's the problem.
But they thought it was. So how did it end?
They didn't think it was a date. They just like we're flirting, right?
Yes, but what I'm saying is the person you're talking about is the Emily of this situation where she thought, I kind of flirted with this guy.
And that's
But
on
if you
me,
say
though.
you are the list, that's like pretty forward, it feels like.
I think
I
so
know,
too.
well, that's
Also
pretty
kind
forward.
of a
That's
great,
my fucking album.
kind of a great
I was
line.
like,
wow,
no.
Daniel,
But yeah,
you are the list.
I know.
Will you marry me? Was the next text.
Psych. 2 days later.
Let's
Psych.
be together forever. Psych out.
Why are you crying?
Emily, I want to throw this out there. Emily, I got to say, I think we all maybe feel this. I don't really know what you're. It's weird now after being with Jordan for so long, and not really having much game to begin with. Whenever there is a conversation about, well, what about dating this day? Like, do you do apps or do you do these things? I honestly don't really know, because I sometimes picture in my head, well, what would I do right now if I were single?
Sure.
And my head always goes to, oh, well, I meet people all the time through work at like comedy clubs, like in settings. And I go, and I think sometimes our opinion of this or how to pull this off is maybe a little skewed, because we are in a position to potentially get a lot of the first stuff out of the way, because if it's at work, we were just on stage.
That's the thing. Our power,
making
our
a crowd
power
of people
dynamic,
laugh, and we're confident.
For every night we do the show, we're the CEO. Our power dynamic is in a show context.
Yeah.
Is wildly
now, if you went to a regular
unique.
bar, it would be different for me.
Yeah.
But if I just got off stage, it's like, and I'm not saying I'm like hitting on anyone, and I'm not saying anyone's hitting on me. But if I were single, I personally would feel a little more confident that I could probably engage with some people, because I would feel like, well, we already got the stuff out of the way of who I am, and we sort of know that, and we can now just kind of dive in. And to me, you can almost feel the flirty vibe sooner like spot it sooner, lay it on thicker if you want, because it's like, oh, you work in comedy, so I can even kind of be fun, and you can kind of see how someone's being funny, like all of those things. And this is in my like fantasy of maybe how it would be, that I think it kind of takes me out of the ability to give advice on, well, this is what you should do, because one, I haven't been dating, and two, I have this weird job that actually sets me up to meet people.
Right.
You know? And so I don't really know. My guess, and I think we've said this before, I think the best thing you can do is think about what your interests are and go to those things. And I think I always give this as an example. If you were like, I love bowling, like then go do a bowling league. If you're like, I like horseback riding, then try to find the group setting that is those things. It doesn't have to be those specific, but like, you know, put yourself in positions to go do things you enjoy anyways. That way if you don't meet someone, you're like, well, I did a thing I like. But there's also a chance, for instance, with the running club, you know, let's say that guy's not married. Then maybe he flirts harder. I'm not even going to say he wasn't flirting. We just said, you know, people flirt. He might have been flirting. Like, this is nice. We're kind of flirting, whatever. We're going to jog. Who cares? But imagine he's single. Then maybe it leads to a date. Maybe he goes, oh, yeah, you are fun. Let's, you know, I'm not married.
Right.
So I actually could ask you out on a date and maybe go pursue this. So, yeah, Emily, I think you're doing the best thing possible, but all the things Daniel said are definitely ways to put
my
the
last
vibe
thing
out
on
there.
that sending out the vibe, that final question, how do I send it out without the alcohol courage, is I would go, for me, it would be 3 to 4 interactions where the door seemed wide open, right? If I'm ever like, you're such a good runner, and they're like, thanks, like eye contact back, or their hand on my shoulder, they're like, man, you really kept pace. 3 to 4 of those.
Emily, if you ever say you're such a good runner, don't say you're such a good runner.
Why?
You're such a good runner.
Such a good runner. Thank you.
Don't say you're such a good runner.
Flirt.
Hashtag don't say you're such a good runner.
Hey.
But if it was some sort of 3 to 4 doors wide open, I would then go, let's say it's bowling. Like, hey, do you want to grab a drink after? Like, I get to direct this. That's me as a person, but I also think it's very helpful, especially the older you get. We don't have school to keep bringing us back into
like,
classrooms.
Do you want to grab a drink after this? Like, what are you talking about? It's bowling. I'm drinking the whole time. I'm on my 5th pitcher alone.
If that really happened, I would re-rack and go, I'm asking if you want to get a drink with me.
But then, no. What do you mean? I'm on my 5th pitcher. Daniel just immediately goes to, you are the list.
Actually, you know what I would do, honestly? I go, doors closed. Because you aren't keeping it wide open.
Yeah.
If I had 3 or 4 of those, I would be like, hey, do you want, if it was run club or whatever, I'd be like, hey, next week after we're done, do you want to like go get an acai bowl? Does that make you feel better?
Yeah.
So
yes, it does.
So and I would fill it out. If they go, I can't, they might come back with, but what are you doing Thursday night? Yeah. Or they might be, can we do it after the next one? And then if you get one, I can't, and then a second, I can't, especially if you get a third, sorry, I can't.
Can I comment
then
on that real quick?
I would go full again and go, here's the deal. I'm trying to hang out with you because I like you. If you're into that, it's now in your court to tell me. If you're not, we'll just keep being cool
I went
friends.
through that with Jordan.
I'm so direct with that shit.
I'm going to do this real quick. I went through that with Jordan. I asked Jordan on a date. She's like, yeah, let's go on a date. Every time I said, what about tonight? Or what about this? Yeah. She was like, I can't. She's like, I have work. I really can't do it because I have this. And then I was like, all right, well, I mean, maybe she just doesn't want to go out. But she always left it as like, I do want to like go. She said that. Mm-hmm. And I was always like, I got to a point where after one time I was like, you know what? I'm done with her. And the moment, I'm not joking, the moment I said, I'm done with this. Yeah. I'm done with her. I'm not asking her out anymore. My phone rang and it was her. And she goes, I'm free tonight. No, I'm not joking when I said the moment I said I'm over it, she was like, I can do it.
You said that.
No, I said it to my friend, my buddy.
Yeah, okay, but
this could be a good place for Emily to start.
What's that?
Emily should just walk up to someone and just say, "This is over. I'm done with you." And see where
maybe they're like, "I want a date. I want a date." Yeah.
Let's get married.
Also, Emily, don't forget to stand on the other side of that closed door and just keep saying to yourself, "Be fun, be fun."
You're a good time.
This is a great letter, Emily. Thank you so much for opening up and sharing with us. We wish you well. Sincerely, your pen pals, Rory Scovel,
Daniel Van Kirk,
and
Chris Garcia.
And we're back.
You're getting it.
Yeah, I'm getting it.
You're getting it. You're on this show permanently
Thank
now.
Thank you.
No questions asked. We are back, and as you guys know, this is where we like to give you guys updates on all of the things. For me, just real quick, as I always say, go to Apple TV Plus, watch Physical. Season 2, I think, will be out in June. If you want to go see an improvised stand-up show and you're in the LA area, I'll be at Elysian Theater at 7 p.m. on the 27th of February, which is a Sunday. It's just an hour, in and out. It's in and out, and it's all on the spot. It could be bad. It could be bad. Let's lower
so
expectations.
Good. It's always so good.
Let's bring them down here.
For once, I want you to tell people this is going to be fucking amazing. You start out with fucking amazing, and I want everybody starting with their arms crossed.
Yeah,
and let's see
and
how
I'll
it
show
goes.
you. I'll pull you out.
Yeah.
But I also want to say, if you do enjoy this show, it comes out every single Wednesday on wherever you find your podcast. Just know that Daniel and I do also release episodes in our Patreon every Monday. Mm-hmm. And to join it, it's only $5. You get 4 extra episodes a month. And
whatever other crazy shit we do.
Yeah, and whatever, it's constantly a growing, changing space. Ask anyone who's been a member of the Patreon. But it is only $5. So if you do enjoy this, in that space, we like to reply to some letters, and we go into some sagas about different letters that we have received. Yeah, that's all my announcements.
I think there should have been an ad in the break for my stuff. So if you skipped it, go back. But it's just my tour is starting back up again. March 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th is the first run. I will be in Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Salem, Oregon, and then Mount Vernon, Washington as well. So I'm bopping around the Pacific Northwest.
And just an update, that tour will get canceled on February 25th. So
don't you dare.
We've had to do the Daniel going out and coming back.
Don't you dare.
It's like Daniel's doing the thing where he's like trying to run away from home, but then comes back because he realizes he needs to eat.
Right. I don't even get out of the driveway half the time. Everything is up at danielvankirk.com, but if you listen to the ad, you already know that, and I appreciate you. Also, can I say on the Patreon? Well, we'll talk about it some other time.
Yeah.
Just $5. That's all it is. But I'll talk about it in another episode.
Yeah.
What about you, buddy?
Well, I'm hitting the road again.
We haven't even introduced you this whole episode. Chris Garcia.
Thank you.
I feel like we did. I mean, he told his
right?
birthday
Look,
story.
when people click on the thing, his name is there anyways, but we haven't even said.
Well,
Right.
thanks.
Our near and dear friend, stand-up comedian, podcaster himself, Chris Garcia, and he has a podcast.
Yeah, I have a new podcast out called Finding Raffy, and it's all about Raffy, the kid singer. And
Really?
there was a podcast. The first type of this podcast was called Finding Fred. It was about Mr. Rogers. It was really good. It won a Peabody Award.
Amazing.
And I was approached to host this new podcast about Raffy. And did you listen to Raffy at all?
No.
Did you listen
I
to
didn't.
Raffy?
No.
Well, never mind. No, I'm just kidding.
Hate him. I know of him, but I didn't listen to him.
He's so good. I didn't hear him either until I had a baby last year, and I've been listening so much. And it's like a 10-part series where I talk to Raffy, find out all about his life, his philosophy, and his career and stuff. And it's been really fun.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Has there been any eye-opening things about like any answers or anything he's given where you're like, oh shit?
It kind of is like talking to a mystic. He's like this older kind of he's kind of a hippie. He's in his 70s and stuff, and he has this very gentle way of speaking. And he's like, Chris, children are their own authentic selves, not an extension of you. Of the parent. Like he has this very soothing way of talking.
That.
And so when I talk to him, I'm always like, wow, that was incredible. And he's also really silly and really fun, but just a very sharp, incredibly empathetic, nice person. And during these crazy times, it's such a nice there's 5 left. 5 just came out. And it just feels good to listen to.
And is that available anywhere there's
wherever
podcasts?
you get your podcast.
Wherever you get your podcast. Finding Raffy with Chris Garcia.
You know, you just made me think of it. Somebody tried to do once a story about the kid who played, well, now obviously a grown man, but the kid who played Charlie in Willy Wonka, the Gene Wilder version. And he's very kind of reclusive and doesn't really do reviews. And I think that is his only movie. But in the hometown that he still lives in, once a year he goes to the school for all the kindergartners or the first graders or whatever, or maybe second grade, whatever, I don't know. But he goes there and he'll talk to those kids about anything they want to know about being at Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Wow.
And I guess the teacher who does it, that they never tell the kids, and they just say, today is the day the boy is coming, and the kids go nuts because
so
they get, and that's the
cool.
only people he'll talk to about what it was like, and the fucking chocolate and the snozberries and all that stuff.
That's so
But
beautiful.
other than that, like nobody really like,
And they don't know it's not
knows that
real.
much about
They
it.
don't know it's not
Right.
real.
Of course,
Wow,
they
that's
just
so
know
cool.
that
They're
Charlie's
tricked.
coming.
And
That
they're
must
lying
fill
to
them up
those
with so
kids.
much
I
joy.
try,
Could you imagine?
I try to ruin this
Yeah.
touching story. And they're lying. They're lying to those kids.
The thing is, the person who comes isn't Charlie. It's just a guy who saw
It's just a guy.
a movie
And
once.
it's been so long, you don't know what he looks like. Like, I guess that's the dude.
All right, you want to do this?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. Greetings, Messers, which is plural of Mr. MESSRS, which I thought was the shorten of messengers. I don't know.
Greetings, Messers.
Messers,
Plural of
MESSRS,
Mr.
plural of Mr. or a bunch of gentlemen, according to crossword puzzle clues.
All right, I'll
Spoiler
take that.
I am late to the podcast game. Like many, I only started on pods when jobs were transitioned to work from home. I was introduced to your excellent, hilariously heartwarming pod while binging Conan's desperate search for friendship, and pen pals was mentioned. Since then, I have been frantically trying to catch up. My intention was to write a letter once I caught up, but as of typing this letter, I'm only halfway through 2021. First off, I would like to extend a generous thank you for introducing me to the musical genius of the Winter Sounds, as their playlist has been stuck on repeat since the first note of If You Want to Be My Friend hit my ear holes. If this were the days of LimeWire, that burnt CD would be skipping more than a jump rope competition, and my computer would be riddled with viruses from re-downloading songs. And Dan, I would like to extend a thank you to you as well for introducing me to White Lies. You sampled one of their songs on an old episode. One of my favorite bands, Mumford & Sons, covered their song Unfinished Business, which is also excellent, and I never knew.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Second, the main purpose of this letter is a question of advice and or each of your perspectives, and Chris Garcia's, on the matter. Due to various circumstances, I had to move back home late 2019 and have been trying to get my life back on track. While I am grateful that I was able to do so, it has been difficult to work on myself when I am continuously surrounded by negativity. My mom has been knocked down many times in her life, and from an early age, I had become a source of support. But now, when mental health is more important than ever, it is becoming difficult to be that support, especially when misery loves company and contagious nature of negativity. How do you respond to, of course this happened, all bad things happen to me? How do you stop this sort of thinking from seeping into your own mentality? This ended up being longer than I intended, but I hope to still hear this in the near future once I catch up to when is what. Keep doing what you're doing, bringing laughter into this funny life. With sincere gratitude, Ross. P.S. Dan, your cabin stories and lake fun remind me of my childhood. Your hometown is just a few hours of where I spend my summers. Ever heard of a small amusement park called Indiana Beach in Monticello, Indiana? There's more than corn in Indiana, as they say. P.S.S. Rory. Ground floor never got the appreciation it deserved.
Damn right.
Harvard was such a likable a-hole. I am sure working with the legendary John C. McGinley and Bill Lawrence from Scrubs, and now Ted Lasso, you must be a fan, fame was great.
Bling, blang, bling, blang, bling, bling.
We drop it in.
Oh, they do it. Oh, yeah. they. It's us. They, the podcast gods.
So, Rory, do you want to go backwards? You disagree about Ground Floor? You feel like it was accurately viewed and
I think
supported?
we should have got a third season. I think there are a lot of things with that show. That was my... I know that in the world of maybe audiences, and also even in the world of like us.
Sure.
You look at a multi-camera show, sitcom, and you think they're cheesy. And there are some like bad ones.
Right.
But then
when
there are
they
also
sing,
some legendary ones.
Yeah, when they sing.
When they sing, you go, God, I wish I was there. But then there's some legendary ones that, there's some of the, Seinfeld, some would argue is the best TV show of all time.
Right.
That's a multicam.
How I Met Your Mother.
They
is
can
great.
be fun. They
Yes.
can be good and interesting. And so I just want to say, I didn't realize it at the time, But when I got cast in that show, I didn't realize how cushy of a job that is. You park in this spot, you go to that dressing room till someone says, come over here. You eat a breakfast buffet. You sit down, you start talking about the episode. People are joking around. You stand up and you start rehearsing a play that is going to be filmed in front of a live audience that you can screw up on. And they just reset it and you just do it again. And you film a whole episode in 6 hours in one night, and it's just a party. It's truly a party. So yeah, for anybody who watches those shows, just know they are very fun to do. Even if you hate that style, I would go do a job like that right now. I would instantly go
Especially as a stand-up in front of a live studio audience.
Exactly.
You just sit there and you deliver a line.
And it's similar timing.
Yeah.
It's similar timing because you have the audience, and the way that the style of humor is written into those shows, you know the setup, you know the exact level of space before you should say the thing. It's just inherent in our delivery. So yeah, it's great. I love it. I don't even know why I gave that answer, but I think Ground Floor should have got a third season. I think it could have really gotten a little more attention, but whatever. It's not even like I'm thinking about it every fucking day.
Going backwards again, Indiana Beach, 100%. I've never been, but my family has been, and I would see the commercials all the time.
Yeah.
It's like a crow or something. He's like, Indiana Beach. It's like they like sing a song. There was a haunted house there. It's a whole like fun little Indiana thing. Which for Indiana, like, they need something. You know?
They do. They need a win.
Yeah. So yes, definitely no.
They need a win.
Yes, unless it's an election, they need a launch.
Well, they had the movie Hoosiers, and that was a pretty big one.
Seen it. So it's a big deal. It took us a long time for me to see Hoosiers.
Yeah.
So yes, I do know it. Okay, negativity. Chris, why don't you go? What do you do when you
Put him on the spot.
when you have negativity in your life and you're
Why are
trying
you
to
negative?
be supportive but not get sucked into it?
First of all, Ross, I have to say you're doing the Lord's work, being there, helping out your family and stuff like that. And also, it's easy. I mean, there's so much inertia when you're feeling like you're surrounded by negativity, you're in that mental space, and say the closest people to you are also that.
Yep.
And when you're in that space, it's very easy to take anything as a proof of evidence that you start building a case that everything is shit.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I've always been an idiot. This sucks.
And even a good thing, you go, that doesn't matter because it's going to fail eventually. Or like even positivities, you start to be like, well, that's just the setup for the other shoe dropping, which is going to be bad.
And that's depression. You like pull it in, you push it down.
Yeah.
And it's like, just know that those thoughts aren't necessarily true. And this case that you're building is a narrative that your brain is putting together that might not actually be the case.
Yeah.
So be gentle with yourself. And I always think about this thing that Reggie Watts put on Tumblr like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That was like, when in doubt, zoom out. And so I just like always think about this. And so I'm like, just look at your life from a bigger point of view and try to find the places where you could find gratitude and joy and realize that these tough moments will indeed pass.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like for Ross to not, like when a person in your life is so negative and you're trying to like not be, I think you have to keep the constant flow of I support you and I love you. That you have to like, that has to be like almost how you start every conversation. Like, I love you and I want to be supportive for you. And I understand that like, do you feel like things are rough and things are hard? But you also have to like set those boundaries. Yeah. So I think you're allowed to say, but Mom, when it's 9 a.m. and we're starting the day, I can't have you tell me everything that's wrong. I'm not saying never. I'm just saying maybe like afternoon. And if that person's like, well, then I'm not going to talk to you at all. And you go, I really wish that wouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
I wish you would just ask me questions about me. If you don't have anything to say, and I understand that. Like, you're like, well, if I talk about anything, it's going to be too hard for me. They're like, well, then don't. Talk to me about anything. Or I'll understand that the reason you're not saying anything is because you don't want to give me any negativity. So I won't needle you, Mom, as to why aren't you talking to me? Because I've asked you.
Yeah.
Like, set boundaries. And then maybe for yourself, say to yourself, like, you know what? At least once a day, I'm going to just wide open to my mom go, how you feeling?
Yeah.
And I know it's going to not be a good conversation.
It's a game of
but
chess.
I'm going to give her that.
Yeah.
And then you have to, this person is constantly communicating their negativity. So you have to be very deliberate about how you communicate what you can and can't handle in terms of that negativity.
Yeah, it's very much a constant F2F, I think. And I think that's the only way to do it, because that overall question of is negativity contagious? It absolutely is.
100%.
It absolutely is.
We talk about sports a lot, man. When you're on the sidelines and everyone on your team is feeling, well, not even everyone, people start feeling like we're going to lose this game. Dude.
Then you lose the game.
Yeah. How often have you ever been a part of anything competitive where the person you with was like, well, we've already lost and you still won?
Yeah.
I can't think of any.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like we go back to that Super Bowl with like what 23-8 or 28-3, and it was Atlanta,
Patriots.
right? And Patriots. And obviously, when it was 28-3, the Patriots and their leaders, one of which was Tom Brady, I seemingly just never thought, well, we've lost.
Yeah.
They just didn't think that.
Yeah.
And they still could have. They understand fucking scores.
Yeah.
Right? But I think it is that of like when, like you're saying, when it just breeds. It just breeds like negativity.
Yeah. And I think because it's so contagious that it is a game of chess to figure out how to, I think Chris makes a good point. You do have to think about yourself and how you can block that out. How do you communicate with yourself? How do you analyze? It's all perspective. And in this case, your mother's negativity, I mean, you know, like you said, she has a difficult life, knocked down many times. I think it's difficult in someone's situation to not be negative, you know, but I think that sometimes those people need that reminder of perspective and perception and how to be more positive. Like you're saying, the zoom out, like there's ways to look at things that someone doesn't know yet. And you have to also keep in mind, Ross, if you take this advice and you try to play this game of chess, and maybe you have, keep in mind it's going to be met with a negative force. Because someone doesn't, there's a pride and an ego that we have that doesn't want someone to explain something to us or to learn or to change or to admit that something is wrong, because we think that has a negative impact on who we are, or our value. Mm-hmm. But in reality, if you stay at it and you play the game right, and I keep saying chess because it really is. It's like
you have to be deliberate
when
about
someone
your moves,
says
you have
this
to think
to
a couple
quickly
ahead.
know.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to say I would prefer that we talked. Like it's difficult, but to me, in playing this game of chess, it all comes down to relentless positive communication and just trying to positively reinforce. And now, like I said, we say this all the time. We are not professionals. We're not psychologists. No. We're not therapists. Chris is, and that's why he's here. But we're not therapists. So someone could say, well, actually, this is how you combat that, or how you communicate. But my best guess and what the first steps I would take is that positive communication. And like we say all the time, I would even introduce the idea for your mother. Do you have any interest of sitting and talking with someone?
Right.
You know, a therapist, even once every 2 weeks, because sometimes you start talking and you start digging and you start saying and you start realizing, and then maybe you start changing if you're willing to, you know?
We've talked about this in relationships where you could almost start any sort of like tough or like maybe a disagreement with a person you're in a relationship with, being like, first off, do you still want to keep doing this? And if they go, I don't know, well, now we're having that talk.
Yeah.
But if they go, yes, I'm in this, be like, okay, well, can we now talk about how I feel like we have an issue with blank? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you could say like, Mom, I'm just going to ask you straight up. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just an answer. Do you want to be happy? And if they're going,
that's a great start.
And if they go, who doesn't want to be happy? Be like, oh, I don't know. I'm not talking to them.
Yeah.
I'm just asking you, do you want to be happy? Well, I don't want to be miserable. Great. Do you want to be happy? And
yes or no.
Like, right. And
Yeah.
if that person goes, I don't see how that's going to happen right now. Be like, I still don't know. Like, and if they go, yes, I would like to be happy. Be like, okay, cool. Are you willing to let me and I'm not smart, but are you willing to let me try to be a part of that in your life? Or am I just a person you just want to like be able to say everything you're pissed about? Because if that's the case, maybe we can find a window where you tell me everything that pissed you off that day. But the shitty thing is I'm not really going to get to help you be happier. And you at least we've established, which also sucks, you don't want any answers from me. But you really kind of need to set like, where does this person want? Because if they're like, don't ask me questions like that. You probably don't get to go, are you open to therapy? Like you don't get to do that next question. If they're like, I don't want to feel like this. Be like, okay, well, how about, and like I said, we're not professionals. These are just ideas I have. How about you go, all right, if you trust me and I feel like you're kind of just being negative, I'll let you have that emotion. But I'm also going to say, now you have to tell me one thing positive. And I don't care if every day it's, I'm breathing. Yeah. Like, okay, that's something, right? Yeah. Like you said, you zoom way out. And so be like, could we do that? Like, if you're going to tell me for 30 minutes about something that really pissed you off or a negative way that you feel, we always try to go to these like instances, right? Like my boss was a dick or my car's broke down. But like you said, when it's depression, it's like, I don't feel like getting out of bed. It's just a thing, right? Yeah. And just be like, okay, can you just tell me something that like, if you think about it or if it happened, or let's say, hopefully it did happen, it makes you feel better. And just try to be like some of that stuff, but really identify your role in the relationship, what you're capable of doing and what that person wants you to do. And then even for yourself, you're going to be keeping one, I always use this analogy of like in the swimming pool, you're going to be keeping one hand on the wall of positivity so that even when you're in the pool with them, you've got a little bit of, to mix my analogies, you've got your own little dreidel like in Inception, like to keep you knowing where you're at.
And from that, you could build so much. So if it's like, Mom, you're in, let's think about a happy thought or a positive thing for today, or a couple things, 3 things you're grateful for. Right. And then you're like, Mom, if it'd also be helpful if we get some sunshine. If we could go walk for 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. And then just these little baby steps to maybe getting to like, would you consider going to therapy? Yeah. Like, my mom started going to therapy like 2 years ago. And that's amazing. In Latin culture, people don't go to therapy a lot. They're like, God's a therapist, or you bury it and take it to a grave.
Southeast is exactly the same. Everyone in the Southeast.
You know what? Rochelle is a lot like that.
People don't.
Maybe America.
Especially older people, you just like bury
it. In your culture,
and you bury it, right? Yeah. And so my sister has gone her whole life, and I've gone for 10 years. Even my dad went to therapy. And my mom's like, no, never. And now she goes. Yeah. And when she comes out, she goes every 2 weeks, or it was once a month, and then she went every 2 weeks. She calls her amiguita, her little friend. And she's like, I talked to my amiguita yesterday. I feel so much better. Yeah. Yeah, because it helps you create boundaries, because then you have a person that you speak to.
In a place where you put that. Stuff and you put it right there. And you're saying it to somebody, right? Because like in our families, right? You're telling me something, and I go,
yeah, and it's
and
over.
You go, the fuck was that? Like, because there's so much loaded into those relationships. Oh, you didn't like what and you're like, oh my God. So with that therapy, you have a person who, even if they are judging, you don't know, because you don't know any of their cues.
And then you feel like, oh, you don't feel alone, because they're like, oh, this is the thing. This is very common.
When a therapist says to you, I hear this from my patients all the time. And you're like, oh, really? Thank you.
It's so helpful and it's so wonderful. And I wanted to piggyback on something that you were talking about this game of chess, right? Chess, when you're playing a game of chess, it's always easier to watch someone play a game of chess. Mm-hmm. When you're in the middle of the game of chess, you don't see all the moves, right? Yeah. And so almost you have to be your own observer and watch your own game of chess. So if you find yourself in a situation where it's negative or you're feeling depressed, it helps just to be mindful and observe that and say, I'm being negative right there, or that's depression right there. And by kind of witnessing it and pointing it out like that, it weakens it. Right. It's like, it's not part of me. It's outside. It's the depression. It's over there. Oh, I feel myself being depressed. I feel myself feeling bad. Oh, there it is. Yeah. There it is. Yeah. And then it almost takes the power away from it, because it separates you from that.
Two things too. Sometimes you will have a person say, I've had this, where they go, I just want you to be mad with me. They'll say it, right? Which is such a fucking clear, like there's almost no id. It's literally just, I want you to be mad with me. And you can say to that person, okay, but are you willing to hear if I say I want you to be happy with me? And so,
And they go, that's what's
Great.
making me mad. Right. Let's be mad together.
right. And you go, I'll give you a little bit of like, yeah, fuck that tree that's
Yeah.
blocking our whatever, like whatever it is. But then you got to come with me on a little bit of like, isn't this great? Isn't
Yeah.
this nice? And then they'll either go, let's just call it a stalemate, right?
Yeah.
Oh, or they'll say, fine, but we got to be mad first. And you go, okay, but if we don't get to be happy on my time, like later on today, we're never doing this again. Because you like set that up.
You set
and then,
that boundary.
Yeah. And then the last thing I would say, and this is an exercise that person, again, has to be willing to want to do, is in the heyday of Jenny Jones, Ricky Lake, Oprah, Donahue, like all those things, I remember when I would watch those, a lot of times they would do follow-ups, right? With like the husband who's mean to his wife and stuff like that, right? When we just normalized domestic abuse. And they would oftentimes come back on and be like, I saw myself on the show and I've changed. I've never want to act like that. They had that outside perspective, which therapy gives a lot of people, where somebody just says like, have you thought about it like this? I had a breakthrough like that recently where I was like, holy fuck. So I would say, hey, mom, what if, and they might go no, in which case you go, okay. What if everything you're mad about right now, you write down, and then just write it down. We're still going to do it. I'll then read it out loud with you, back to you. And sometimes just that person hearing someone say to them all their negative feelings and everything they're mad about, that might not cure them. I'm not saying that, but they might go, whoa. And you go, yeah, I know. And it's okay that you feel this way. And it's great that you got it out. And writing it down is even cathartic because you physically put it somewhere else. Yeah. But then sometimes even the hearing it back is that Ricky Lake follow-up episode where they go, that's what I sound like? Yeah. And you go, yeah, and it's okay. Yeah. Because I'm trying to also, we're going to do my happy time in a little bit. And not happy time in a fake way, but we're just going to list like, aren't these flowers nice? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Man, you're the best. That's great. That is just amazing. I think that sounds incredible.
It all comes down to
I think that's a great idea. I have two things as well. Right. One, chocolate-covered cherry liqueurs. That's been my therapy 100%. For years.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Just a box of those, and you'll feel better for sure. And two, maybe, and this is just a wild idea, and I'm not just trying to plug here.
Jump in a lake?
Maybe there's a world where you go, hey, Mom, just out of nowhere, when we have this time together, let's check out this podcast where this guy has these conversations with this guy who used to sing songs for kids, because these conversations might trigger something inside of you, especially if someone hears the phrase like, kids are not an extension of you. They are their own unique selves. Maybe your mom is the kind of person who hears something like that and gets into that deep thinking mode, being like, that's a different, I haven't thought about something like that. And I'm not trying to plug it, but I actually mean when you do activities together and you have a relationship like that, you actually do things together and you have something to talk about. And just so happens, Chris has a 10-part little series here. You could check it out and go, we listened to the whole thing and we loved it and we chatted about it at dinner.
Well, thank you.
And now you're talking. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But, and also I had the blahs last week.
Or listen to this episode and get super meta and weird.
Put this episode on very loud.
Super loud. Or just find joy in the smallest places. Last week I had the blahs, and that's what I call them, and I looked up pictures. I was like, I wonder if Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker are friends in real life.
That's a great question.
I just looked at pictures of Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, it just made me so happy, and it sounds crazy, but it brought me so much joy.
Yeah.
And it's
the other two, happiness is contagious.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Oh, man, I love it.
Tell your mom to look up pictures of them. I'm just kidding.
Why not?
Why not? Just show them to her. I have some, print them out, slide them in front of her so she's like,
while she's talking about her bad day. Just be like, what is this? Like, I don't know. What is this?
It comes in like that. I just want you to be mad with
they're golfing?
This?
That's so cute.
Yeah.
These aren't even from set. They spent individual personal time together.
And then all of a sudden it's a still from Shanghai Nights. This isn't even, Chris Tucker's not in this.
Just forgotten about all her problems.
Is this the Loki guy?
This is from a Marvel movie. This isn't even the...
Oh, I love it. Ross, thanks for sending this in. We are not professionals, but we try to talk as a few people who give a shit, and I think we did that. So we wish you well. Sincerely, your pen pals, Daniel Van Kirk,
Rory Scovel,
and Jackie Chan.
Chris Garcia.
Wow,
you were
that was so
wonderful.
fun and
Painless,
so
bro.
beautifully
Painless.
intimate and sincere. That was so cool.
Oh, thanks.
So much better than
Yeah, it runs the gambit. It goes
That's so
like
cool.
all over the place.
Oh, our listeners don't like it.